Fire is chaotic. It spreads. It consumes everything in its path. Walls, curtains, furniture. But sometimes fire behaves strangely. Sometimes it targets a single person and leaves everything else untouched. On July 2nd, 1951, Mary Reeser sat down in her favorite chair. By the next morning, she had been reduced to 4 pounds of ash. The newspapers nearby weren't even singed. The FBI called it the Cinder Lady. Science calls it the Wick Effect. The world calls it Spontaneous Human Combustion. Today, we unseal the file on the fire that burns from within. This is Dark Files Unsealed. It was 8 a.m. in St. Petersburg, Florida. Mrs. Pansy Carpenter, the landlady, went to deliver a telegram to her tenant, 67-year-old widow Mary Reeser. She knocked. No answer. She tried the doorknob. It was hot. Burning hot. Panicked, she called the police. When Chief of Detectives Cass Burgess entered the room, he couldn't understand what he was seeing. The room was hot, but there was no fire. Just a layer of greasy soot covering the ceiling above the chair. In the corner, where Mary's armchair used to be, was a blackened circle. Inside the circle were coil springs, the remains of the chair, and a pile of ash. And there, poking out of the ash, was Mary's left foot. Wearing a black satin slipper, unburned, unharmed. Forensic experts were baffled. To reduce a human body to ash requires temperatures of over 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit for several hours. A crematorium does this. But a crematorium doesn't leave the carpet next to the body unburned. The localized heat was scientifically impossible. The local police were stumped. They boxed up the ashes, the foot, and the carpet, and sent them to the FBI laboratory in Washington, D.C. The public went wild. Was it lightning? A secret weapon? Murder with a flamethrower? The FBI ruled out electricity. The fuses were intact. They ruled out lightning. They ruled out explosives. But they found 2 clues. Mary Reeser was a heavy smoker. She had taken sleeping pills that night, the FBI report concluded. Mrs. Reeser fell asleep while smoking. Her nightgown caught fire. But this explanation failed to satisfy anyone. A burning nightgown causes burns. It causes a house fire. It does not turn a 170-pound woman into dust while leaving the plastic outlet covers on the wall unmelted. To explain the impossible, scientists proposed a gruesome theory, the Wick Effect. Think of a candle. The wick is the string and the wax is the fuel. In the case of Mary Reeser, her clothes were the wick and her body fat was the wax. The theory goes like this. The cigarette ignites the clothing. The skin burns and splits. The subcutaneous fat melts and soaks into the clothing. This creates a slow, smoldering fire. Not a blaze, but a concentrated, localized burn. Like an inside-out candle, it burns for hours, slowly consuming the body's fuel. Because heat rises, the fire destroys the torso and head, but often leaves the extremities, the feet and hands, untouched, because there is less fat there, and they are at the bottom of the heat column. In 1998, scientists tested this with a pig carcass wrapped in a blanket. It worked. The pig was reduced to ash in the exact same way. The fire stayed contained. It explains the soot. It explains the intact apartment, but does it explain the skull? The police report said Mary's skull had shrunken to the size of a teacup. Science says skulls explode or crumble in heat. They don't shrink. Was this a reporting error? Or something stranger? You might think this is an old 1950s mystery. It isn't. In December 2010, Michael Faherty, a 76-year-old man in Galway, Ireland, was found dead. His body was totally incinerated, but the fire had not spread to the floor or the ceiling directly above him. The coroner, Dr. Kieran McLaughlin, stated, "This fire was thoroughly investigated, and I'm left with the conclusion that this fits into the category of spontaneous human combustion." It was the first time in history a coroner officially listed SHC as the cause of death. File 41 is closed. The Wick Effect is the best scientific answer we have. It is logical. It is proven. But it is also deeply terrifying. It suggests that under the right, tragic circumstances, the human body is not just a vessel for life, but a fuel source waiting to be lit. Mary Reeser went to sleep, and in the silence of the night, she became her own pyre. The file is closed, but the ember remains. Thanks for watching.